Hey, Pastor Josh here again. It's June 5th, or whatever day it might be that you're watching this. We're reading Jeremiah chapter 3, verses 1 through 18. And I just want to say, if you have watched all the videos in the past and you are watching this one, I'm thankful that that this has been helpful to you, and at some level even proud of you for listening to your pastor and taking just some time out of the normal part of your day to hear from the Lord, hear from your pastor, just read Scripture. And so if this is your first time jumping into the video, well, keep going at it. I pray that these will be beneficial. If you link, there's a button around me or before you got into this, click the email Pastor Josh button and let me know ways that I can make this better. And you can even ask me questions, and I'll try to answer those to you personally or even include them in future videos. That'll help me out a lot. So let's get into the reading. It's a little bit more today, even though it's only 18 verses. There are actually some longer type verses, and we're still going to be in the tone of this judgment. Oh, it's so heavy. God judging us and hating our sin and hating our evil. And it's good for us to feel how much God hates evil. It's good for us to feel that because we should hate it just as much as He does. And unfortunately, we do not. And so we begin that way, but I'm so happy about the reading today because it makes a turn about toward the end of chapter 3. Oh, it lifts, and there's so much joy. So if you have been reading and watching the last 3 videos, I think you're going to find a little bit more uplifting tone to the reading today. So let's go for it. If a man divorces his wife and she goes from him and becomes another man's wife, will he return to her? Would not that land be greatly polluted? If you remember, God has been referring to what Israel and Judah has done to him, what the people of Israel have done to him. He has compared that to a wife being unfaithful to her husband. And we have to be honest too. I know God is just using the language of a man to his wife, but men are unfaithful just as much as a woman can be. I want to make sure you hear that God is not in any sense saying that there's something uniquely wrong with a woman. Not at all. Men can be sexually unfaithful to their wives just as much as a wife can be sexually unfaithful to her husband. And so this is the language that God is using between him and Israel and saying we were in a covenant relationship. We were married, essentially, and then you have run off to other gods. So God, the Lord, is comparing idolatry, worshiping another god, with adultery, and saying just the same way that divorce will just hurt people so much. Divorce, no matter how it comes about, it just causes pain for everybody involved, for kids, and for both parties involved and everybody around. If you have been involved in a divorce, you know exactly what I mean. Oh, it is so hurtful. And even when you think it might not even be affecting you, it does. And you'll even look back and say, oh, that kind of stings a little bit. So God is saying, hey, this is not good. It's meant for a man and a woman to be together forever, all the way to the very end. And so that's what he's saying. If this happens, if a divorce happens, would not the land be greatly polluted? Then he says, you have played the whore with many lovers, and would you return to me? Again, using that rough language, prostitute, whore. He's saying, you have been doing this, and now you're going to come back to me. Verse 2, lift up your eyes to the bare heights and see. Where have you not been ravished? By the waysides you have sat awaiting lovers, like an Arab in the wilderness. You have polluted the land with your vile whoredom. Oh, it's just hurting me, Lord. How he's comparing what the Israelites are doing to him. Therefore the showers have been withheld. This is actually part of the covenant between God and Israel that is even expressly described in Deuteronomy. God is saying that if you turn away from me, then I will make the waters, I will make the rains cease. You're not going to receive the rain that you need from the sky if you run after other gods. And so God says, therefore the showers have been withheld and the spring rain has not come. Yet you have the forehead of a whore. You refuse to be ashamed. Have you not just now called to me? My father, you are the friend of my youth. Will he be angry forever? Will he be indignant to the end? So God's saying, haven't you've been doing all this stuff and all this horrific stuff. You've been running after other gods and worshiping them instead of being faithful to me. Then you call to me and say, oh, we're buddies. Oh, we've been together since the beginning. Since we were little kids, we've been buddies. You can't be angry with me even though I'm doing this to you. You're not going to be indignant to the end. You're not going to be so angry and furious all the way to the end. We're buddies. No way will you turn away from us. Well, that's a silly attitude. Is that an attitude of somebody that loves God? Of course not. We want to be faithful to him and follow after him. Behold, you have spoken, but you have done all the evil you could. So the Israelites are essentially telling God, hey, we're buddies. You're never going to be angry with me. But then at the same time, they turn and do all the evil that they could. They do all the evil that is possible. Here's where the turn comes, because I'm sure you are getting tired of hearing about how terrible Israel has been. And now we're going to hear the call to repentance. The Lord said to me in the days of King Josiah, remember that's the first of the kings that Jeremiah prophesied under King Josiah, great reform and religious reform happened. Have you seen what she did, that faithless one, Israel? If you remember, there's two kingdoms, right? You've got the northern kingdom, which is Israel, and you got the southern kingdom, which is called Judah. They used to be one kingdom under King David, under King Solomon, but after King Solomon, the kingdoms divided. They feuded and they became two, Israel and Judah. And that's why he's saying, Israel, have you seen what she did, that faithless one, Israel, the northern kingdom, how she went up on every high hill and under every green tree, and there played the whore again. And I thought, after she has done all this, she will return to me. Oh, she's going to follow after all other gods. Israel's going to follow after all other gods, but she's going to come back to me. She's going to come back. But what? She did not return. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it. So he's kind of given a figurative type story here. You got two sisters, Israel and Judah. Israel left the Lord, and then Judah saw it. And did Judah, the southern kingdom, learn, or did they do the same thing? She saw that for all the adulteries of that faithless one, Israel, I had sent her away with a decree of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah did not fear, but she too went and played the whore. Because she took her whoredom lightly, she polluted the land, committing adultery with stone and tree. Here again, you see the language of idolatry is connected with adultery, not being faithful to your husband and your wife. Israel has run away from the Lord. Yet for all this, her treacherous sister Judah did not return to me with her whole heart, but in pretense. And I made those bigger so that we could see that, because under King Josiah, Judah, the southern kingdom, appeared to have a grand old revival, appeared to be following after the Lord. They destroyed tons of idols and got rid of all the gods under King Josiah's leadership. But I think right here is a hint to us that they did not return with their whole heart. It was external, but it wasn't internal. They were doing externally, but it wasn't really of the heart. And it doesn't matter what we do on the outside. If it's not done with a heart toward God, then it doesn't count. It's not even real. Verse 11, and the Lord said to me, faithless Faithless Israel has shown herself more righteous than treacherous Judah. Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say," here's these sweet words, "Return, faithless Israel." Doesn't matter how bad you've been to me. I really am your buddy. Come back. All you got to do is come back, declares the Lord. I will not look on you in anger. We really are buddies. Come back. I won't be angry with you. You just come back. For I am merciful, declares the Lord. I will not be angry forever. Just come back. Come follow me. Come be with me. Verse 13. Here's what you got to do. Here's what the Israelites had to do. Only acknowledge your guilt, that you rebelled against the Lord your God. Admit that you're a sinner. Admit that you have run away from God. You can be close with God again. If you're watching this and you're a spot where you found yourself just straying away from God, he's saying, just come back. Come read the Bible. Come to church. Spend time with me in prayer. Come back. Only acknowledge your guilt, that you rebelled against the Lord your God and scattered your favors among the foreigners under every green tree, and that you have not obeyed my voice, declares the Lord. Return, O faithless children, declares the Lord, for I am your master. I will take you, one from a city and two from a family, and I will bring you to Zion. Zion is the mountain on which Jerusalem was built. Zion is the mountain on which Jerusalem, the capital city of Israel, was built. And Zion will then take on the flavor of this heavenly, eternal kingdom. Zion, this place where God's city and God's temple is. Verse 15. And here's what happens. He says, I will give you shepherds after my own heart. Instead of these terrible kings that have been running away from me and leading you to do wrong, I'm going to give you shepherds that are after my own heart, who will feed you with knowledge and understanding. And when you have multiplied and been fruitful in the land in those days, this is a key, whenever you're reading prophetic language, in those days, most of the time is talking about some sort of prophetic time in the future, from the time that it's written. In those days, something in the future, this time of perfection. So he's saying, when you are back in the land and you're fruitful in the land, in those days, declares the Lord, they shall no more say, the ark of the covenant of the Lord. It shall not come to mind or be remembered or missed. It shall not be made again. If you remember, the ark of the covenant of the Lord was this big box in which they put the Ten Commandments, they put manna, and then they put some rods of Aaron, some sticks that Aaron had, the priest, which blossomed. And this was in the Ark of the Covenant. This was the symbol of God's presence with Israel. And God is saying, in those days, in these coming future days, we won't be saying, where's the Ark of the Covenant? We won't miss it at all, because we won't need it, because God's presence will actually be with us. And at some extent, we as Christians are already experiencing that right now, because you're not running around. When you come to church, you don't say, Pastor Josh, where's the Ark of the Covenant? Pastor Josh, where's the big sacrificial altar at, where we sacrifice the lambs and the animals? Brother Josh, where are these things at? We don't need them. We're not asking about those things, because we have Jesus, and God Himself is living in our hearts. He's living with us. So in those days, we won't, the Ark of the Covenant will not come to mind or be remembered or missed. It shall not be made again. At that time, again, in those days, Jerusalem shall be called the throne of the Lord, and all the nations shall gather to it, to the presence of the Lord in Jerusalem, and they shall no more stubbornly follow their own evil heart. Revelation, again, pictures this same type of situation of the nations coming into Jerusalem. Revelation, at the end of the Bible, even pictures a heavenly Jerusalem descending from the sky, this eternal heavenly home where we will live at forever. All the nations are going to be in it, and we're no more going to follow our own stubborn heart. In those days, the house of Judah shall join the house of Israel, and together they shall come from the land of the north to the land that I gave your fathers for a heritage. I'll see you in the next video.